The whale is badly wounded. It tries to ward off the attack. The shark wastes no time in moving in for the kill. The blood attracts more sharks. It's over quickly. But the loss is immense. It will take 2 years for the whale's mother to conceive and give birth to another baby. Petty Point will need to stay alert to the dangers of the sea. One mistake could cost him his life. Fortunately, Virgul is always close by to keep him safe. Virgul's role is more than just mother and protector. She will also act as teacher to her young calf. Most importantly, she will lead him on his first great migration to the feeding grounds in Antarctica. This is the same journey that her mother took her on, and her mother before her. Humpbacks have been swimming our seas for 7 million years. Female humpbacks are the most important members of their population. They raise the young, they protect them, and they show them the migration route that each whale will repeat for the next 40 or 50 years. They are the wise ones who retain the cultural memory of their population. Without their mothers to guide them, baby humpbacks would be lost at sea. It's early September. The end of the Antarctic winter season is now only 2 months away, and then all humpbacks will leave their warm tropical waters and travel to colder, richer ones where they can finally feed. When they depart, Virgul will show Petty Point her migration route. In his first journey, he will need to remember the entire route. The journeys of humpback whales are far, some as long as 10,000 miles to the poles, amongst the longest journeys of any mammal on Earth. They rarely rest. They keep moving, drawn on by a growing hunger. Somehow, they find a way to navigate the endless sea. Sometimes whales use their own sonar, making sounds which can travel many miles, bouncing back from underwater mountains. Whales can use a sea mountain as a navigational aid, aiming their sound signals towards it and swimming in that direction. Once reaching it, they then change course and head to a new feature. The whale's urgency to reach the feeding grounds is strong. They rarely stop. Even at night, they continue. Whales also use sound to communicate with one another. Their companions may be dozens of miles away, but they can still be in close contact. They perceive their world on a much larger scale than humans. Who needs the stars when it's possible to navigate with sound? The journey can be too much for some calves, but riding the slipstream of their mother is less work and makes the journey easier. When Petit Point completes his first voyage, he will arrive in the freezing seas of Antarctica. Here, there's plenty of food for a growing whale. And he will learn how to hunt for himself. His first few years will be a crucial learning period. Every year, humpbacks return to the same place their mothers first showed them. This is home. Because of this, most of the whales at a feeding site are related. They're an extended family who return every year from different wintering sites to feed. This might explain why they cooperate so well. There's no doubt they can learn from each other, especially when they're after fish. In 1980, researchers studying humpbacks off the coast of New England noticed that one whale began using a different feeding technique. Before blowing a bubble net, the whale did something new. It slapped its tail on the water, which killed or stunned its prey. Then it blew a bubble net and proceeded to feed. This behavior, called lobtail feeding, had never been seen before. Soon other whales began lobtailing too. The practice spread throughout the population, especially among younger whales who picked it up in their crucial first few years. By 1989, half the whales were lobtail feeding. Today, it's a common behavior. Lobtail feeding is evidence of culture, an exchange of information from one whale to another. There's a good reason why the whales began lobtailing. Before 1980, they fed on fast-swimming herring, but with the collapse of the herring stocks from overfishing by man, they turned to slower, less agile sand lances. They needed a new technique to catch these prey, so they invented one. This is one hopeful reason why humpbacks may thrive in the future. Their culture helps them survive in a changing world. Human fisheries are doing more harm to humpbacks than depleting their food supply. The adult humpback's #1 cause of death is entanglement in fishing gear. Nets and ropes which take years to degrade. They wrap around the whale's mouth, flippers and tail and stop it from swimming and feeding. They also kill. 2/3 of right whales and humpbacks in the North Atlantic bear the scar marks of fishing gear entanglement. It's too late for this whale. Its mouth is entangled in rope. The rope has ripped apart the baleen, which is now sticking out from the whale's mouth. Now it can't feed. It's certain death. In a few places, highly specialized whale rescuers are risking their lives to save entangled whales. They first need to hook the netting that snared the whale.
Got it! Just let her go, let her go. Pull up on it. Snub it, so we got it in. Okay, good. Now let her go, let her go. Let her go. We'll see what happens.
Then they follow the whale until it slows down and cut the rope. The whale had rope embedded 6 inches deep into its tail.
Okay, one more. Wait a minute, it's flying, it's flying. We got it, look at that.
No wonder it's relieved. This is an ever-present danger that Petty Point will face. For now, he's safe in his sanctuary and free to play. Until he leaves on his great voyage, he will gain strength and learn how to move his huge body. Humpback whales have the largest flippers of any whale, 1/3 of their body length. They use them like rudders to turn and roll with incredible skill and precision, just what a hungry whale needs when it's chasing fish. But this isn't just play. It's practice for when Petty Point separates from his mother after just 1 year and heads off on his own. Play is preparation for more adult games. As he matures, Petty Point will memorize the song that he hears from other whales. One day, this mysterious and compelling song will reverberate from him. He will become the newest member of the great underwater choir and fill the ocean with his own voice. He will keep alive the ancient song of the humpback. The humpback song is a powerful form of communication. But exactly what the sounds mean is still anybody's guess. All the whales in each ocean sing the same song. However, over time, the song changes. New phrases are introduced, others are dropped. Within a few years, the song is completely different. And somehow, all the whales keep up with the changes. The whales in different oceans have different songs. The song that Petty Point hears in the South Pacific is wondrous. The song of other whales in the North Pacific is completely different. Whatever it may mean, the humpback song is a remarkable, evolving symphony of nature. For most of the past few months, Vogul has raised Petty Point in a safe, remote corner away from all the other whales. But now, a visitor has appeared, a young adult male humpback. Petty Point has a rival for his mother's attention. Humpback whales also come to the tropics to mate. Females, like Vogul, don't normally conceive the same season they give birth, but that still doesn't stop the young male showing interest. He wouldn't stand a chance competing against larger males for a receptive female, so he's turned his attention to Vogul, who has no other suitors. Wherever they go, the escort will follow. Male humpbacks will compete fiercely to mate. As many as 20 males will follow one female, jostling for pole position beside her. A receptive female attracts the very largest suitors. The closest escort has the best chance of mating. But he must defend his position. The once peaceful singers will have violent battles for supremacy. This is the final lesson Petty Point will need to learn if he is to father his own young. He will have to become a fighter. Only size will give him the strength to push rivals away. His first opportunity to mate may not happen for another 12 years, when he's fully grown and experienced. The battles between the male suitors can last for hours. These are immense tests of strength. They will ram into one another. blast out huge amounts of air. With the female in front of him and his rivals behind, the principal escort has one final strategy. He blows a huge curtain of bubbles, stretching 100 meters long, to screen off the female and intimidate other males. Each lung is the size of a car. He has plenty of air to release. The males may battle all day, but in the end, it's the female who makes the choice who to mate with. It's now November, the end of the winter season. Vagul has seen her baby through his first 4 months. By now, Petit Point has grown a thick layer of blubber to help him cope with the colder polar waters. He's now ready for his first great journey, a voyage to Antarctica. This will be a coming of age for this remarkable animal. Mothers with calves are the last to leave the tropical waters. This will be the most dangerous journey of Petit Point's life. If he makes it, then he stands a good chance of growing into a 40,000-kilo giant. His heart alone will weigh 220 kilos, equal to 3 men. Giant whales are celebrated for being the largest animals ever to live on Earth. Today, the few remaining humpbacks are protected, but their future is far from secure, especially those that live here in French Polynesia and feed in the Antarctic. The whalers consider this wonder of nature as just another food stock. Petit Point has done well in his first few months. He's now ready to become a great voyager, to join the other humpbacks and travel the ocean on their ancient migration. For now, his bond with his mother is still strong, and he has much more to learn from her. He has much to see and will face many challenges in his long life. And he will carry on the culture of the humpbacks. Petit Point was born
and protect species increasingly threatened in commercially overfished waters.
Good job. Good work.
Now, it's midday on the last day of the tournament. The anglers have caught, tagged and released 9 sharks.
It's yours.
But they've yet to land the monster specimen that could win the contest.
I'm not marking a thing, man.
Already 30 kilometers offshore, Ivo and the sea captain make their decision to head even farther out to sea.
Clear those rods right now. All right.
I said, let's go. Everybody looked at me like I was crazy. You know, my mates were second guessing me.
We're going, we're going.
And we ran for 2.5 hours, and it was silent in the cockpit. I mean, people just gave up.
The team circles a 6-kilometer area, dispensing a steady stream of chum. Hopes are high for attracting a shark, but there's little time left.
Do you see him out there, Brian, or no?
Suddenly, something breaks the surface of the water.
Can you tell what it is?
I can't get a real good look.
Something enormous has just taken the bait, and the line is ripping off the rod with astounding speed.
A lot of people ask me, what did it feel like? And you take your line with a hook on the end and go and stand on the side of the freeway, and you hook a car that's going by at 30 miles an hour. That's exactly what it's like. Because it was just hold on for dear life.
Very dangerous, guys. Be real careful.
At the mercy of a gigantic fighting fish, the crew scrambles to clear the deck. They know all too well, if the lines get tangled, the monster shark can break away.
I don't care if he's pulling. You pull back. We need this fish now.
But just staying upright is a back-breaking struggle.
At that point, I'm not even fighting the fish. I'm just holding on,
Come on, that fish is tired, Ivo. Let's go.
you know, trying being from pulled overboard. Waves are crashing into me, crashing over me, and it's a surreal experience. It's total adrenaline.
How many feet we got?
The tension on the line is unbearable. Ivo's straining for any leverage he can get. To gain some slack, the captain decides on a reckless gamble, changing course and heading towards the shark.
Get that slack up.
He reverses the boat towards the thrashing predator.
Fish is going all over the place here.
Approaching an enormous angry tiger shark is never a good idea, but the team's determined to win.
Getting ready to get him, guys.
The captain's maneuver works. Tension is off the line and Ivo fights back by reeling in the slack. He's got a chance, but it's still a muscle-burning battle for every inch of line.
Where's the fish?
All right, everybody stay cool now. Everybody stay cool.
I was thinking about quitting. I mean, it's like, I can't do it. There's no way. This fish is just too big. And everyone's screaming at me, you know, look at the time, look at the time.
Right here, about 100 yards.
Finally, after 30 grueling minutes of arm-wrenching work, the team gets a first glimpse of their adversary, and it's a chilling sight.
Damn it, it's huge! The fish comes up and it goes dead silent. Everyone's just sitting there looking at the water like, holy, you know, what did we just catch?
You let me know when you get out that fish.
What the hell do we have on the end of the line?
Come on, guys.
And Jay just looks at me and he goes, big fish. And he looks scared.
It's the winner!
It's a tiger shark over 5 meters long. The notorious predator's only a few feet from the boat and extremely agitated. The creature's powerful jaws are lashing out at anything and everything, including the boat.
You have the 17-foot shark with a mouth that's 3 feet wide that's, you know, jumping up onto the boat trying to bite anything it can.
I'd never seen a shark so close to the boat of that size. So I was a little bit horrified.
Though tired from the fight, the thrashing shark is still incredibly dangerous. The first mate stands ready with a rope and a large gaffing hook.
All right, everybody, pay close attention, guys. I want everybody paying real good attention.
You fall in the water, you're dead, because it's biting everything. Anything it can bite to get away, it's going to bite. So if someone fell over, they would have lost a leg or an arm or something.
The first mate reaches into the ocean and grabs the enormous shark's tail.
Get on. There you go. Pull tight, pull tight, pull it tight. Pull it tight.
The team secures the fin to a tower on the back of the boat. And they've done it. They've captured a 540-kilogram tiger shark.
My arms were killing me, my legs were killing me. I mean, there wasn't any part of my body that didn't hurt. It was just painful, but the exhilaration, everyone just picked me back up. They grabbed me from the deck and they're hugging me, they give me high fives, and it was crazy.
But now the race is on. As the team speeds back to shore, the enormous tiger surfs the boat's wake. They're over 100 kilometers from the dock, with just over 3 hours left before the tournament deadline.
We're all just looking at our watch. No one's saying anything, we're just looking at our watch. It wasn't going to happen.
We got the winning fish, there's no doubt about that, but...
Arriving just moments after the 6:30 cutoff, the anglers miss out on $250,000.
Yeah, it really laid on my shoulders. If I could have gotten it in a little quicker, 6 minutes sooner, we would have won.
Though the shark didn't survive the journey, biologists on hand dissect the fish for vital research. It's the biggest specimen the Apex Predator program has ever seen, and an invaluable opportunity to better understand these magnificent and deadly monster fish. Discovered only 20 years ago in Southeast Asia, the giant freshwater stingray has reached superstardom as one of the largest known freshwater fish. Specimens have stretched as long as a limousine, up to 5 meters from nose to tail. And scientists speculate they get even bigger, supersized rays weighing over half a ton. When threatened, this alpha predator has a secret weapon. Projecting from the base of its tail is a spear-like barb, over 30 centimeters long. And to seal the killer deal, it's lined with hooks.
If you step on it and the barb pierces your skin, then you're going to get some of that toxin in your own tissue, and it can be really nasty.
The ray's flattened surface area picks up resistance as it's pulled upwards, turning these beasts into dead weight. For anglers, it's a back-breaking struggle.
I believe that the giant freshwater stingray is comparable with anything in marine waters. For a freshwater fish, it is the ultimate capture.
March 2008, the Ban Pakong River, 80 kilometers southeast of Bangkok, Thailand. Home to the giant freshwater stingray. Local fishing guide, Wutachai Boy Kawensuwon, has pioneered search strategies for giant rays in Asia. Today, Boy and his friends head out on a quest to break their personal record of 180 kilograms.
The giant stingray is like a dinosaur hiding at the bottom of the river. But if he's out there, we will find him.
Catching these creatures takes a team effort. Boy's technique involves baiting a series of rods with snakehead fish and spreading them out across the river. The men watch and wait. There's a sudden tug on the line. Boy scrambles to gain leverage, but the powerful pull is stronger than anything he has ever felt. Chaos breaks out on the boat. The massive stingray is like a motor beneath the water, towing all 4 passengers upstream.
It was a gigantic fish. It pulled the boat up and down the river. Like 5 or 6 guys, all like holding on for dear life to this giant fish.
The stingray grinds to a halt. The fish is stuck like a plunger to the riverbed, refusing to budge. But Boy also refuses to give up. He gathers all of his strength.
Characteristically, they clamp themselves onto the bottom of the riverbed. Very hard to shift these fish when they do that. You could be talking about a 200 kilo fish with possibly 200 kilos of mud and debris on top of it, you know.
To hold that rod with such a huge fish on the other side of the line, you can't imagine how hard it is. It's like carrying a big rock on your shoulder and running around.
Exhausted, Boy reluctantly passes the rod to another team member. For 3 grueling hours, the men take turns fighting the fish. Their arms are trembling, their bodies tense with the prolonged struggle. The 4 anglers combined are no match for the gargantuan ray. One moment of lost concentration and the line will snap. The worn-out anglers are desperate for any help they can get. Locals on the riverbank hear Boy's cries for help and spring into action.
Come on!
A small craft brings reinforcements to the fight. Incredibly, the battle continues for 3 more excruciating hours as the new crew takes turns on the rod. It's now 10 men versus 1 fish.
I was just staring at the line. Please don't break. Please don't break. I have to see you. I have to see how big you are.
Then, without warning, the ray surfaces.
Come up now, come up now.
It is twice the size of the boat. The stingray grows tired, but before the men can land it, the exhausted anglers must risk their lives. The ray's huge toxic stinger whips at the surface. Boy grabs the ray and another angler lunges for the lethal harpoon.
The tail was flailing around. The guys grabbed the tail underneath the barb at the base of the tail and quickly wrapped a bandage around the barbs on the tail.
With the dangerous tail subdued, the men now face a final challenge, landing a fish the size of a refrigerator. The ray's too big for the net and the boat. The crew's only hope is to ground the monster ray in shallow water. As Boy and his team hold on to their prized catch, they slowly drag it to the shoreline. At last, they've landed the biggest ray they have ever seen. The stunned crowd stares in wonder at the colossal beast, weighing 1/4 ton, with a wingspan of over 2 meters. The prehistoric ray's a world record freshwater catch on rod and reel.
I've shared this feeling with all the team. It's like a feeling of relief that you've actually managed to get the fish up without losing it, elation and awe just at the sight of the creature, you know.
But this mighty stingray belongs in the river. The team unhooks the fish of a lifetime and watch in wonder as it returns to its underwater lair. Among the ocean's mightiest monster fish, this fish is one of the biggest bullies. Pure muscle packed into a compact killer package. Fearless, aggressive, outmaneuvering the competition, They swoop in at turbo speed, decimating prey. The giant trevally.
The giant trevally makes me think of a Shelby Cobra. A lot of power into a pretty small package that accelerates like nobody's business.
Tropical Pacific alpha predators, giant trevallies patrol reefs with attitude. Capable of reaching nearly 68 kilograms, stretching over 1.5 meters long, trevallies harass everything in sight, even sharks. Here, a trevally takes food right out of a barracuda's ripping jaws.
They'll strike from the blind side of the prey, whether it's bright light or dark water. They take advantage of the natural surroundings to make themselves invisible until they're too close to be avoided.
And behind every bully, there's a formidable weapon. A thick, muscular body focuses power through a narrow area known as the caudal peduncle, giving giant trevallies powerful tail fins and stunning speed. With such aggressive power, the giant trevally is one of nature's toughest targets, turning a catch into a contact sport.
Sometimes it'll just smack you into the side of the boat, it'll strike so hard. The intensity and the adrenaline pump. These little 150s, the 150s, I don't know, they seem to pull some strikes, don't they? I don't know what. That's one of them.
January the 29th, 2008, New Caledonia in the South Pacific. Aussie angler Luke Worster sets out with friends to chase the giant trevally, called GT for short. For passionate fishermen like Luke, this muscular fish is a fierce opponent that must be treated with respect.
The GT, they are a gangster of the reef. They are so tough. I have such a mutual respect for this fish.
Nice one, mate.
It's my life. GT fishing is my life.
And catching this monster fish is no easy task.
I specifically am training just for GT fishing. Cramps up there, cramps in the bicep, and cramps up here, cramps in the forearm. If you're not in shape, GTs will find your weakness.
The environment alone is challenging.
I'll just take the boat over here and just spin it around back into the wind just to give you a good angle.
GT live a few kilometers offshore, often amongst huge waves. Out here, Luke and his friends throw cast after cast. And they aren't the only predators on the hunt for GT. Sharks also circle ominously beneath.
Oh, look at him, look at him, look at him. Reef shark, reef shark. Oh, he's already sharked him. We've just hit a patch of bait, got our lure in the middle of it, hooked up a GT, and as soon as we've hooked up, we've had a big shark, big whaler shark. Well, needs no words.
As dusk approaches, the group decides to stop for the day. But Luke casts one last time.
One last cast in. Oh, yep.
And quickly feels a massive tug on the line.
Sometimes a big GT can just maul and just throw up water everywhere. And you know, that's a big fish. Sometimes they can slurp it. This was one of those strikes.
In an effort to pull the GT off the reef, the anglers gun the boat. But the trevally has other plans.
Okay.
Amazingly, this tenacious fish is overpowering the vessel.
It wasn't moving. If anything, the fish was pulling us back to the reef with the boat. As soon as they pull you back to the reef, you're gone. They'll cut you off, and you'll have lost all your hard work.
That's a big one, big one.
To make matters worse, the giant trevally is ripping the rod from Luke's hands.
He's got that rod dug straight into his gut, like, you know, he's going to need surgery and remove it. He's holding on for grim life, just trying to get as much gain on that fish as he possibly can.
The angler struggles to get his footing and stay in the boat, but his arms are losing sensation. In this brutal tug of war, Luke is losing. As Luke fights to stay focused, the wrestling match rages for an excruciating 30 minutes.
My muscles were full of lactic acid and they were ready to give up. Slowly but surely, I was able to start pumping and whining, and slowly she started coming up.
As the fish surfaces, the anglers get their first glimpse of the heavyweight on the other end of the line.
When I saw that fish for the first time, I had no words. I was speechless.
Oh, there he is! It's big. My God. It's a Goliath.
It looked like a Volkswagen.
The giant trevally is built on a monster scale, the biggest the group has ever seen. To get this monster on board, it'll take the strength of 3 men. As the 6-meter-long vessel bounces on the churning sea, the fishermen try to hoist the trevally onto the boat. With a final coordinated pull, at last, they've got it.
It was taking up all the space. We had no space to move. We just had this big slab-sided GT, and we almost didn't know what to do with it. It was that big.
The giant trevally's over 60 kilograms and an estimated 1.5 meters long, a Goliath of the reef. It's the catch of a lifetime, but Luke is passionate about fish species survival. He knows he must release the GT as soon as possible. Pumping the fish's gills with seawater to keep it breathing, he carefully places his catch back in the ocean.
Once we released that fish, she gave a few kicks, but then she started to descend. But she didn't descend normally. She turned on her side and she was basically exhausted from the fight and dying.
The anglers watch in horror as the GT begins to spiral to the bottom. Luke does the unthinkable. He dives into shark-infested waters to save the fish. On board, his friends are in a panic.
Come on, mate. No, don't worry, it's only a fish, mate, come on.
Get out of the water. Get out of the water. The fish will be fine.
I did think about it just as I was jumping in the water, but as soon as I was in, it's now or nothing. It's not a chance that I'll get again, and if I don't take it now and try to make a difference, then I'm not going to feel right.
You're crazy, the shark's here, come on.
Ignoring his friend's anxious cries, Luke cradles the massive GT in his arms. As he struggles to move water through the giant fish's gills, they both become predator targets.
At that point, you step into their realm, you are bait. So there's always that chance.
It was a bit more difficult than I had expected because I'd already exhausted my energy so much that I was even struggling to swim myself, so we were almost two of the same.
Luke swims with the crippled giant for 10 long minutes. Slowly, the GT shows signs of life. With a sudden, furious flick, the trevally darts away. Luke and his catch of a career have both survived intact.
Once I got back in the boat, my arms were trembling, my whole body was trembling, and you know, they were calling me nuts, but they knew I'd done the right thing.
Well done.
September the 8th, 2008, the English Channel, home to some of the most famous shipwrecks of World War II.
The big wreck we're fishing today or a small one?
And for modern anglers, the perfect place to hunt for an elusive opponent,
so that means
the conger eel. Now, for the first time in 30 years, conger enthusiast and devoted shore fisherman Roger Beer will fish from a boat, heading into the channel to chase this mighty fish. The expedition starts slowly. Luring the conger is a painstaking art. The eel prefers the safety of shipwrecks and must be coaxed out of any chosen hiding place. Roger feels a nibble on the line. A conger is toying with his bait.
You feel every little tap, and the eel was very slow biting. I just kept quiet because I thought, well, if I miss it, I won't have to say too much. So I just let him go and just let a bit more line off, and for 15, 20 minutes. Then he finally started going off, and I just hit him like a steam train.
The conger eel's ferocious jaws have locked onto Roger's bait. The fish is making a beeline for the shipwreck. Roger must keep the eel off the grounded vessel without snapping the line. It's a delicate balance, a game that can end at any moment.
It's either you hook the fish, land it, or the fish will get the better of you and snap the line, or the fish will get in the rocks. That's how good they are. They're very, very cunning fish and very devious.
These giant fish are like water-bound snakes. Famous for favoring shipwreck lairs, they hide in cracks and crevices, waiting to lash out with brutal strength and a mouthful of cutting, crushing teeth.
They resemble a big snake, a big python or anaconda. Lots of muscle packed into a big, long, tubular shape. They're very impressive animals.
Able to reach lengths of over 3 meters, weighing more than 113 kilograms, congers are like creatures from science fiction. The undisputed kings of a family of eels made up of over 100 different species. Eels are powerful predators.
They're really good at hiding out in the dark behind some sort of cover and then striking out quickly to capture their prey.
And if the first bite doesn't kill, the second one will. Eels use an extra set of teeth buried deep inside their throats, called the pharyngeal jaws, to snare and cut their meal, annihilating any hope of escape. For some anglers, this vicious creature is the ultimate adversary. Organizations like the British Conger Club chronicle the history of conger fishing, as decades of sportsmen have devoted entire careers to battling this mean, moody, and mysterious animal.
It is a fish of considerable mysticism, really. There are people that have disappeared, fishing from small boats for conger, and have never been seen again.
Yep, it's a fairly big one.
Back on the boat, Roger's experienced hand wins out. He keeps the eel in the open channel, but he soon faces an even tougher test.
Certainly tires you out.
Endurance. The strength of the hooked conger is overwhelming. It's clear this is no ordinary eel.
I was concentrating on being one jump ahead of the eel. After 10 minutes or so, your arms start to not belong to you. So you've got to concentrate to get that bit of power back. It was very uncomfortable trying to land the fish.
Not a bad one, Rog.
Without warning, the eel suddenly surfaces.
There he is, Gord.
It's huge. A monster specimen stretching across the surface of the water like a giant snake.
The fish, as it came up to the surface, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen eels to 80, 90 pounds, but this dwarfed it.
God, it's bloody huge, Rod.
Big one.
But the conger doesn't stay up for long. With a sudden burst of energy, the eel makes a dash for the ocean floor.
With luck, I managed to get him up, but every time I got him up, halfway, he went straight down again.
He's diving.
He kept going down again, and then up, and then down again.
The line can snap at any moment. Roger struggles to stay as sharp and strong as the monster fish below.
That's better, Roger. Go on, keep going.
After 30 grueling minutes, a breakthrough. The eel bobs back on the surface, showing signs of exhaustion.
It's all right.
But the battle isn't over yet. To land the catch, Roger's got to get the dangerous fish into the boat.
Most of the fish are lost at the gaff because they're so powerful, and they do a spin. They can rip a gaff at your hand, pull you in.
Ready? The anglers hold their breath as the captain readies the gaff. Any experienced eel fisherman knows the closer you get to these predators, the greater the risk of losing your own flesh in their snapping jaws.
You just keep away from its mouth because it's got big teeth.
Big female.
Marshalling his strength in one swift move, the captain hooks the gigantic eel and swings it into the boat.
What are you doing? I got it.
At last, they've landed the Goliath conger.
Well, I say, Roger, that's a little bit bigger.
The anglers are amazed. The eel is even bigger than they imagined.
Cheers.
Well done,
good one.
Roger.
Nice one, mate.
Cracker.
Watch you don't kick you.
I'll be all right.
Almost 3 meters long, weighing in at 49 kilograms. It's the biggest conger captured off the coast of England in a decade.
Oh, well, it was phenomenal. It's brilliant. You know, I couldn't believe that I'd done it on the first trip out.
110.
That's all I need is a 100-pounder.
Biggest deal I've ever seen, mate.
Maybe a little bit bigger.
Mysterious creatures of the deep. They have inspired us, challenged us, and fed us for centuries. Now we must strive to protect and preserve these colossal and wonderful creatures, ensuring there will always be a world full of monster fish.
Domestic pig skulls are much larger than wild pig skulls. Also, the dorsal profile of the skull, the top of the skull in domestic pigs is very concave. And this is something that relates to the level of nutrition that animal grew to physical maturity on.
Oren Don Malloy has agreed to have Jack Mayer examine the skull of the hog he killed in 2002.
If this truly is a wild pig, this will be the largest really wild pig I've ever looked at.
Mayer concurs that the features of the animal in the photo are consistent with that of a wild hog of enormous proportions, but an examination of the skull will be the determining factor. In addition to a visual examination, Mayer will take specific skull measurements which he will input into a computer software system for a definitive answer. Kevin Ryer and Tim Hicks are hoping to capture living evidence of wild mega hogs in traps they have baited with corn.
We're just going to check and see if they happen to have eaten corn right up to the door, and we missed them because with this big rain, the rain would have washed all the tracks away right here. As you can see, the corn is gone, but if the rain washed the tracks away, this will tell us if anything's been here.
There is no sign of hogs at the first location, only raccoons. Ryer and Hicks move on to the feeder trap.
You want to run up to the pond that we baited up and set up, see what's going on there. We need to check that out, see if anything's happening there. All right, let's go.
On the way to the trap, they notice a discouraging sign.
Corn is still on the ground. They're starting to rot. Finally. When I get acorns on the ground, it sure makes it tough catching pigs.
Acorns on the ground mean a readily available food source for the hogs, which means the hogs might ignore the corn bait. Still, the area seems encouraging in other ways.
This is a good spot because there is acres of swamp privet back here in a swamp area. It's almost impenetrable by a person. You have to literally get on your belly and crawl. That's the kind of areas that big hogs survive in, where humans can't get to them. I'm going to set a camera up right here.
Ryer has designed a solar-powered trail camera that will enable him to capture images of hogs.
And that's the goal, is to get a picture of a monster hog.
Hicks knows that hogs become more active at night, and the approaching darkness gives him another opportunity to locate a monster.
I would say your chances are better from just about dusk till 11, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes 2 o'clock.
Kevin Ryer has also designed special LED lights that allow his video cameras to capture nighttime images with amazing clarity. As the sun sets in Texas, the hunt for a mega hog has only just begun. "200 miles away, Mark Peterson and Bill Ramberg's team are using a different type of video system in their search for the giants. The immediate goal, capture a hog, fit it with the video system, and trust its herding instincts to lead them to something far bigger. While Peterson and Ramberg have been scouting locations for their search, a team of scientists have been creating their one-of-a-kind video system.
Come on in, guys. Hey, Gerald. They finally got here.
Joshua Millspaugh, Joel Sartwell, and Jeff Barringer are wildlife researchers, responsible for designing and building the video system that will be attached to the hog. The system uses a low-light camera encased in a housing made of durable PVC. The housing will protect the instruments from the elements and from the hog itself. The video assembly will be attached to a harness that will be fitted onto the hog. The system utilizes two transmitters, one to relay the live video to the researchers, and a second to send a radio signal that helps track the hog should it exceed the range of the video signal.
We've been doing this for the past 7 years, and what we've been doing is we've been developing this technology specifically for white-tailed deer, but we have interest in applying this technology to other species.
The researchers believe this is the first time anyone has mounted a video camera on a wild hog. They've discovered that differences in body structure and habitat are obstacles to overcome when designing a system for a hog versus a deer.
The fact that the hog has no neck makes this very challenging. It's head and body, more or less, and we've got to put a harness on it. And that makes it very challenging. We're used to a single collar.
In designing the system, the team also needs to balance durability with weight limitations.
There's a general rule when you're doing, say, radio telemetry on animals, you want to stay less than 5% of the animal's weight. And so, you know, if you look at a hog that's going to weigh 170 pounds, you know, we're trying to limit that less than 7 pounds for the whole package.
As the researchers finish assembling the video system, Darrell Wines and Mark Peterson check the trap.
You got yourself a hog. You can handle him?
Oh, yeah.
The team decides the best area to release the hog is in a small clearing just over the hill, which entails transferring him to a trailer for the move. Once the hog is in place, the researchers meet up with Peterson, Ramberg, and Wines with the video system.
Now we'll rope us a pig. Okay, open gate. Grab that other leg. Just turn around and take off walking. They're not a real limber animal. They can't bend in the middle and turn around and bite you. So if you got a hold of his tail or his hind legs, just hang on and don't turn loose, and you can stay pretty safe. He's gonna bite, but just don't worry about it. This one. Alright. You're right. Get around there and get your deal put together. I got him. I promise you, he cannot bite you.
I don't like the fit. I want it to be a little bit tighter.
The team makes minor modifications to ensure that the harness fits correctly while not endangering the animal.
I'm thinking this is going to fit a lot better than I thought it would. It ought to stay on him for a while.
2 hours?
I'm thinking I want in on this bet now.
Finally, the team applies a hog attractant to the animal to increase its chances of meeting up with a large boar.
We've got a good image, we've got good audio.
You guys ready to let him go?
Yes, sir.
If the mega hogs that people are reporting exist, they may be increasing in number along with the rest of the wild hog population.
We've got over 2 million now and growing exponentially. They
There doesn't seem to be any way to stop them here in Texas.
The hog population explosion has caused crop damage in excess of $50 million per year in Texas alone.
The crop damage, the damage to just the ground is tremendous. They'll root up a 300-acre field in 2 or 3 nights and just completely destroy it.
Their range in Texas has grown to the point now that they're found in most of the counties in the state. And this is a situation that looks like it's only going to get worse with time.
While attacks on humans are rare, they do occur. However, most attacks are the result of the animal being provoked or injured. Merle Smith of Clarksville, Texas, found out just how dangerous an injured animal can be.
A friend of mine was hunting. He called me. He had wounded he called it a big hog. I went down where he was at and started tracking it and had a good blood trail, but then it kind of got just a drop here and there. We were about to lose it, and I was bent over looking for blood, and all of a sudden brush started popping and limbs breaking. I looked up and, boy, this is going to hurt. That's exactly what I thought. This is going to hurt.
The hog charged Smith, smashing him in both legs.
At that time, I couldn't pick up either foot. I didn't fall down. It didn't knock me down, thank God. But he just hit me, and he was gone. I mean, it was that quick. A friend of mine helped me over to a tree, and I sat down, and we did what we could to stop the bleeding. And he went back and got a four-wheeler and come down there and got me out on that.
Smith was able to make it to the hospital safely, where he received 67 stitches.
It hit right here and ripped up this way. So his tusk came this way, and it just flapped his skin up, pants, everything. The doctor said that it looked like my femoral artery just rolled out of the way of that tusk. It was that close.
Unlike the animal that attacked Merle Smith, the camera-mounted Trojan hog is not injured, but it is angry.
They are a wild animal, live free all their life. When they get in captivity, their only instinct is to fight for survival.
They've managed to fit the video system onto the hog, and they are preparing to release him back into the wild. The hope is that it will go into brush too thick for camera crews and perhaps get footage of a mega hog. At the moment of release, no one is quite sure what the animal will do.
Turning him loose a lot of times is as dangerous as catching him, because when you turn him loose, there's no defense. It's just you and that pig, and you got to turn him loose and get to safety before he can get up and get to you.
You're ready?
Whenever you are.
We're ready to go. The signal is excellent.
I'm rolling. When you're ready.
You bet.
Moving, is there a lot of movement, or is it kind of cool? It's good? Good. Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
The researchers have positioned the receiver up on a plateau in order to maintain the best possible signal.
There we go. We are getting a little bit. It's a perfect image. It's just getting out of range now.
The transmitter's range is rated up to a mile, but as the hog retreats into the thick underbrush, the signal breaks up. Millspa relies on the tracking antenna to pick up the radio signal.
It's directly at that green building right there.
We need to move the vehicle. We need to get closer. Watch this too. Don't let me forget about this.
Sending the signal live from the hog to our receiver. We've got to make sure that we know and are close enough to that animal to be able to, by line of sight, receive that signal. So we've got to be tracking it all the time. If it goes down into a valley and the signal attenuates, we've got to be able to know that, find it, and then go to it.
We're getting a good signal here. Doesn't look like he's moving around much either. No video. There it is, right there.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's still on her.
The team locates the hog, nestled in a thicket.
A lot of times these pigs like this, something new, it stresses them a little bit, and they'll be a little road weary or whatever. They may not want to travel much. He may have found him a place to lay down and recuperate a little bit, and it may be this afternoon, late before he gets rested up enough to travel, maybe tomorrow.
But within minutes, the hog is on the move again. This time heading into the underbrush. Hopefully back to the herd to reveal where a mega hog could lurk. The wild hog population in the southern United States is running rampant, a problem that seems to be without a solution. But eyewitnesses report that it's not just the quantity of the animals that is a concern, but their size. This man carries the scars he says came from a giant hog's tusk. This man claims to have shot an 1,100-pound hog. However, analysis reveals it was a pen-raised specimen, less dangerous than those raised in the wild. This man says he shot a wild hog that weighed nearly 725 pounds, and his photo shows what appears to be a wild animal. This expert can determine if the hog in the picture was pen-raised or a true wild monster.
As far as the presence of any giant pigs left here on the planet, that would include only domestic pigs.
Could this beast be a true wild hog, weighing over 700 pounds? The skull of the animal provides the answers.
This is a wild animal. You can tell by the depth of the dorsal profile. It's a very flat dorsal profile. The bone itself between the sutures is very flat, doesn't look inflated the way it is in a pen-raised animal. The skull itself is fairly narrow. It's not broad the way you would get in a pen-raised animal. If you look at the incisors, the lower incisors, they're very tightly placed together. In an animal that's raised in a pen, these tend to be spread out. As far as whether this animal was raised in a pen or raised in the wild, there's no question in my mind this is a wild animal.
However, the computer calculations tell another part of the story.
In taking the measurements on this skull and comparing it to animals with known weights, it just doesn't come out being 700 pounds.
But Malloy stands by his original estimate.
At that time, we had our scale bottomed out at 300 pounds. We'd have to have them to weigh them, and he bottomed it out both times, 300 pounds. So you at least got a 600-pound pig, and you kind of got to guess the rest. And just from doing it so much and looking at them, you can kind of get close. And I'm not giving you an official weight, but that pig weighs somewhere around 7.25.
While Mayer confirms that the skull is in fact from a wild hog, his findings cannot corroborate Malloy's claim. The Plaska hog remains a mystery, but Monster Quest still has 2 teams searching for living evidence of mega hogs in Texas.
We want a monster hog. That's the thrill of going to check the trap.
Tim Hicks and Kevin Ryer have focused their efforts near Quinlan, Texas.
Found some real good hog signs, some wallers, fresh wallers, and lots of tracks. And thought that would be a good place for us to maybe see a monster hog.
They've had cameras in the area for nearly 6 weeks. The photos indicate they've chosen a good location in which to bait their traps. Now it's time to see what they have turned up.
We didn't have any signs or any pigs in here the last 2 nights.
Their first stop down by the pond comes up empty.
All right, let's go check out another spot then, see if we can find them. All right, we'll go check this other one out. Please, Lord.
It's a trap down by the river they've been counting on.
There was hog tracks here yesterday, and bunches of hog tracks. And now there's nothing. Uh-oh. Birds. That's disappointing. Yeah. We're looking for monster hogs, and they're not showing up. Camera didn't catch them anyway.
Hicks and Ryer's attempt to capture video of a monster hog using an LED night vision video system also comes up empty.
A big hog got big by knowing how to survive. Knowing how to survive means staying away from humans.
Because humans pose such a threat, the Peterson-Ramberg team hopes to get proof of a mega hog using a captured hog armed with a video system. The animal has disappeared into the underbrush, perhaps heading back to the herd.
I think that went really well, actually. I think the placement of the camera was perfect. We had a really good view from here. The camera looked like it was sitting well. You could just see the top of his head. You could see a little bit of its ear. So that all went well. So I don't think we're that far away. We'll get close to it again here soon.
No signal.
No, I'm getting a signal. Trying to get that harness off.
If you can give me a general direction, I might be able to aim the antenna too. Oh my gosh, it's over there.
After tracking the hog for several miles, it's out of range again.
Not getting any pings?
No.
Unfortunately, this time the signal is lost for good, along with the camera. The Texas terrain proved to be more of a challenge than expected in tracking the radio signal. It's not clear whether the hog was unable or unwilling to rejoin the herd. But this time, the video system did not capture any images of giant hogs. Nonetheless, the crew considers the experiment a success.
You always learn something. There's something new you will discover, and it'll help you for your next project, even if you don't get anything out of this.
As for the Trojan hog, a backup safety feature built into the harness ensures the animal is not in danger.
Over time, the thread and the canvas will just rot. Like if you leave a t-shirt out on the line for too long, the sun bleaches it and the weather degrades it, and pretty soon it just falls apart. Well, a portion of this harness will have that canvas embedded in it so that it will just rot and fall off.
While this Monster Quest investigation did not find a mega hog, some remain convinced that giant hogs are out there.
And there are giant hogs. Absolutely giant hogs.
Big hogs don't get big by exposing themselves to vulnerability of being captured.
If we have 2 or 3 good wet years in a row, then the possibility of a hog getting that big is really good.
I don't know how they get that big, but they definitely do. They do live here. You know, they have the genetics, they have the feed, they have the capability, and we let the age, you know, get them big. There's pigs that'll die of old age or nobody will ever even see because they have the cover and they don't have to be seen.
While some have been proven to be pen-raised and either released or escaped, others have yet to be explained. The question remains, are these man-made monsters on the loose, or is nature creating these giant beasts?
ensure that none of the rich milk escapes into the sea. He doesn't need to suck. His mother pumps the milk into his mouth. He can even fill up while traveling. Eventually, he has to breathe. His mouth is so full, the milk is escaping. The little whale is full and satisfied. When Petty Point travels to the feeding grounds, he will learn a new special way of feeding, unique to humpback whales: bubble fishing. The bubbles on the water surface were released by this whale to surround and confuse a shoal of fish. The fish react to the bubbles and the piercing humpback call by grouping closer together for protection. And then the whale takes its reward. The birds are after any tidbit they can grab, but the vast humpback mouth lets little get away. The open mouth can take in a huge amount of water, as much as 2,000 litres. And then it's all strained through the long plates of baleen hanging down from the roof of the mouth. A strong muscular tongue then squeezes out the water, leaving the fish trapped in the baleen. A humpback can consume as much as 4,000 kilos of fish in a single day. Humpback whales normally forage by themselves, spreading out over the feeding grounds. But when there's a very large shoal of fish, then as many as 20 whales may feed together. The whales can cooperate to catch their prey. Humpbacks are amazing hunters, able to overwhelm their prey with ingenious behavior and an enormous mouth. But humpbacks themselves were once the target of hunting. They have a curious nature and often approach vessels. For hundreds of years, they swam straight into the harpoons of whalers. Whaling decimated their population worldwide, killing 250,000 humpbacks in the last century. When they were finally protected, only 5,000 remained. Until now, the ban has held firm. But every year, hundreds of minke whales are still being killed under the guise of science. And those same whalers now want to resume the hunt for humpback whales. But for now, they're only pursued by scientists, whose tiny darts are safe and don't cause injuries. Only a little sting. This is true science, where all that's taken is a tiny tissue sample. There's no need to kill the whale to understand it. From this, scientists can gain a wealth of information about a living whale. we're only beginning to learn the secrets of these amazing animals. For now, Petty Point is safe from the killing ships, and so is his mother. Today, the humpback is still endangered. It will be a long time before their population ever returns to what it once was. During this winter season, Vogul will spend 6 months without feeding. But she will still produce 50,000 litres of milk for her offspring. Her hungry calf will drain away 1/4 of her entire body weight, about 12,000 kilos. No wonder he's so playful. Until he leaves this place, Petty Point needs to gain strength. He must practice how to move his giant body. Vogul will need to conserve her energy not just to feed Petty Point, but to power her swim south when this winter season ends. With mother's protection, a baby humpback has a carefree life. But it's not without its dangers. Petty Point already bears the scars of a shark attack, a cookie cutter shark which bit off round pieces of his blubber. Staying close to Mom is the secret of survival. The biggest danger for a young whale is when it becomes separated from its mother. There are predators in every ocean who target baby humpbacks, especially when they're on their own. There are killer whales in colder waters, and in the tropics, tiger sharks. Most attacks occur during the baby whale's first migration, when it's small. Predators can see which ones are vulnerable, like this baby with a diseased tail. It's losing the tissue of its flukes, making swimming more difficult. There's no way it could outswim a tiger shark. This killer is one of the largest of all sharks, and fierce. It's found a baby humpback on its own. The whale is badly wounded. It tries to ward off the attack. The shark wastes no time in moving in for the kill. The blood attracts more sharks. It's over quickly. But the loss is immense. It will take 2 years for the whale's mother to conceive and give birth to another baby. Petty Point will need to stay alert to the dangers of the sea. One mistake could cost him his life. Fortunately, Virgul is always close by to keep him safe. Virgul's role is more than just mother and protector. She will also act as teacher to her young calf. Most importantly, she will lead him on his first great migration to the feeding grounds in Antarctica. This is the same journey that her mother took her on, and her mother before her. Humpbacks have been swimming our seas for 7 million years. Female humpbacks are the most important members of their population. They raise the young, they protect them, and they show them the migration route that each whale will repeat for the next 40 or 50 years. They are the wise ones who retain the cultural memory of their population. Without their mothers to guide them, baby humpbacks would be lost at sea. It's early September. The end of the Antarctic winter season is now only 2 months away, and then all humpbacks will leave their warm tropical waters and travel to colder, richer ones where they can finally feed. When they depart, Virgul will show Petit Point her migration route. In his first journey, he will need to remember the entire route. The journeys of humpback whales are far, some as long as 10,000 miles to the poles, amongst the longest journeys of any mammal on Earth. They rarely rest. They keep moving, drawn on by a growing hunger. Somehow, they find a way to navigate the endless sea. Sometimes whales use their own sonar, making sounds which can travel many miles, bouncing back from underwater mountains. Whales can use a sea mountain as a navigational aid, aiming their sound signals towards it and swimming in that direction. Once reaching it, they then change course and head to a new feature. The whale's urgency to reach the feeding grounds is strong. They rarely stop. Even at night, they continue. Whales also use sound to communicate with one another. Their companions may be dozens of miles away, but they can still be in close contact. They perceive their world on a much larger scale than humans. Who needs the stars when it's possible to navigate with sound? The journey can be too much for some calves, but riding the slipstream of their mother is less work and makes the journey easier. When Petit Point completes his first voyage, he will arrive in the freezing seas of Antarctica. Here, there's plenty of food for a growing whale. And he will learn how to hunt for himself. His first few years will be a crucial learning period. Every year, humpbacks return to the same place their mothers first showed them. This is home. Because of this, most of the whales at a feeding site are related. They're an extended family who return every year from different wintering sites to feed. This might explain why they cooperate so well. There's no doubt they can learn from each other, especially when they're after fish. In 1980, researchers studying humpbacks off the coast of New England noticed that one whale began using a different feeding technique. Before blowing a bubble net, the whale did something new. It slapped its tail on the water, which killed or stunned its prey. Then it blew a bubble net and proceeded to feed. This behavior, called lobtail feeding, had never been seen before. Soon other whales began lobtailing too. The practice spread throughout the population, especially among younger whales who picked it up in their crucial first few years. By 1989, half the whales were lobtail feeding. Today, it's a common behavior. Lobtail feeding is evidence of culture, an exchange of information from one whale to another. There's a good reason why the whales began lobtailing. Before 1980, they fed on fast-swimming herring, but with the collapse of the herring stocks from overfishing by man, they turned to slower, less agile sand lances. They needed a new technique to catch these prey, so they invented one. This is one hopeful reason why humpbacks may thrive in the future. Their culture helps them survive in a changing world. Human fisheries are doing more harm to humpbacks than depleting their food supply. The adult humpback's #1 cause of death is entanglement in fishing gear. Nets and ropes which take years to degrade. They wrap around the whale's mouth, flippers and tail and stop it from swimming and feeding. They also kill. 2/3 of right whales and humpbacks in the North Atlantic bear the scar marks of fishing gear entanglement. It's too late for this whale. Its mouth is entangled in rope. The rope has ripped apart the baleen, which is now sticking out from the whale's mouth. Now it can't feed. It's certain death. In a few places, highly specialized whale rescuers are risking their lives to save entangled whales. They first need to hook the netting that snared the whale.
Got it! Just let her go, let her go. Pull up on it. Snub it, so we got it in. Okay, good. Now let her go, let her go. Let her go. We'll see what happens.
Then they follow the whale until it slows down and cut the rope. The whale had rope embedded 6 inches deep into its tail.
Okay, one more. Wait a minute, it's flying, it's flying. We got it, look at that.
No wonder it's relieved. This is an ever-present danger that Petty Point will face. For now, he's safe in his sanctuary and free to play. Until he leaves on his great voyage, he will gain strength and learn how to move his huge body. Humpback whales have the largest flippers of any whale, 1/3 of their body length. They use them like rudders to turn and roll with incredible skill and precision, just what a hungry whale needs when it's chasing fish. But this isn't just play. It's practice for when Petty Point separates from his mother after just 1 year and heads off on his own. Play is preparation for more adult games. As he matures, Petty Point will memorize the song that he hears from other whales. One day, this mysterious and compelling song will reverberate from him. He will become the newest member of the great underwater choir and fill the ocean with his own voice. He will keep alive the ancient song of the humpback. The humpback song is a powerful form of communication. But exactly what the sounds mean is still anybody's guess. All the whales in each ocean sing the same song. However, over time, the song changes. New phrases are introduced, others are dropped. Within a few years, the song is completely different. And somehow all the whales keep up with the changes. The whales in different oceans have different songs. The song that Petty Point hears in the South Pacific is wondrous. The song of other whales in the North Pacific is completely different. Whatever it may mean, the humpback song is a remarkable evolving symphony of nature. For most of the past few months, Vogul has raised Petty Point in a safe, remote corner away from all the other whales. But now, a visitor has appeared, a young adult male humpback. Petty Point has a rival for his mother's attention. Humpback whales also come to the tropics to mate. Females, like Vogul, don't normally conceive the same season they give birth, but that still doesn't stop the young male showing interest. He wouldn't stand a chance competing against larger males for a receptive female, so he's turned his attention to Vogul, who has no other suitors. Wherever they go, the escort will follow. Male humpbacks will compete fiercely to mate. As many as 20 males will follow one female, jostling for pole position beside her. A receptive female attracts the very largest suitors. The closest escort has the best chance of mating. But he must defend his position. The once peaceful singers will have violent battles for supremacy. This is the final lesson Petty Point will need to learn if he is to father his own young. He will have to become a fighter. Only size will give him the strength to push rivals away. His first opportunity to mate may not happen for another 12 years, when he's fully grown and experienced. The battles between the male suitors can last for hours. These are immense tests of strength. They will ram into one another. Blast out huge amounts of air. With the female in front of him and his rivals behind, the principal escort has one final strategy. He blows a huge curtain of bubbles, stretching 100 meters long, to screen off the female and intimidate other males. Each lung is the size of a car. He has plenty of air to release. The males may battle all day, but in the end, it's the female who makes the choice who to mate with. It's now November, the end of the winter season. Vogul has seen her baby through his first 4 months. By now, Petty Point has grown a thick layer of blubber to help him cope with the colder polar waters. He's now ready for his first great journey, a voyage to Antarctica. This will be a coming of age for this remarkable animal. Mothers with calves are the last to leave the tropical waters. This will be the most dangerous journey of Petty Point's life. If he makes it, then he stands a good chance of growing into a 40,000-kilo giant. His heart alone will weigh 220 kilos, equal to 3 men. Giant whales are celebrated for being the largest animals ever to live on Earth. Today, the few remaining humpbacks are protected, but their future is far from secure, especially those that live here in French Polynesia and feed in the Antarctic. The whalers consider this wonder of nature as just another food stock. Petty Point has done well in his first few months. He's now ready to become a great voyager, to join the other humpbacks and travel the ocean on their ancient migration. For now, his bond with his mother is still strong, and he has much more to learn from her. He has much to see and will face many challenges in his long life. And he will carry on the culture of the humpbacks. Petty Point was born to be an ocean voyager, and now his journey begins.